Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear colleagues and students. Today we will discuss more about the project management areas. And as you all know, that one of the biggest and largest project management education body around the world is Project Management Institute, PMI. And then within PMI, there are a lot of certification and qualification systems. So the approach of the PMI is comprised of 5 processes and 9 knowledge areas, and now 10 knowledge areas rather, because the stakeholder management has been added very recently. In this slide, you can see that how the project management has been improved and how the project management has been involved in the last few decades as one of the most successful approach to complete the projects. What are the advantages of this project management? You can see, and you might have also seen, that you can control the financial, physical, and human resources in a better way. Your relations with the customers are improved, development time is shorter, and the costs are normally low, and the quality increased, reliability is increased, profit margins are increased, productivity of the systems are increased, and internal coordination is also improved. And with the same time, having a less stress due to better teamwork. Sometimes we differentiate between the project and the program. The program is a group of related projects in coordination way to obtain benefits and control not available from managing them individually. So normally the program is a term we use for the group of similar projects. For example, if we talk about the Prime Minister Literacy Program, this might be comprised of a few projects like the non-formal education, the adult education, the uh, early childhood development program, and things like that, a project. So all these together would make a program having similar objectives and similar projects. For instance, in this slide, you can see that program manager is looking after different projects, and for each project, there is a project manager. At the same time, we discussed that there are a lot of tools used by the Project Management Institute or PMI to control the project and to execute and control the project. So, some of these specific tools which we would discuss in the next few slides in the next presentations is, for example, the project charter, scope statement, work breakdown structure or scope, Gantt chart, network diagram, critical path analysis, critical chain scheduling, cost estimates, and earned value management. So some of these tools are very important to be learned by the project management students. While we are developing the project's combination or project portfolio management is to mix the project in a way so that we can reduce the risk to the maximum extent and at the same time enhance the yield or returns at the other time. There is a general relationship between the risk and yield because the high risk would mean high return. But if you see in this diagram, we have divided this into 4 quadrants, and the left side you see and the down, you have high risk but low payoff, and then low risk, low payoff, and then you go to high risk, high payoff, and low risk, high payoff. So, how do we select the projects in a way which can maximize the payoff or return and at the same time possibly minimize the risk? That would mean the project portfolio management for any organization which is dealing with the projects. Not always possible to select all the high risk projects, but at the same time, it's also not very justifiable to select the low return projects. So we have to mix the projects in a way and that would mean the project portfolio management, in which we can trade off between the risk and the returns. This is just telling us that how the project management has been improved in the last so many decades. The project success has been doubled, the failed projects have been reduced to half, and the money wasted on the challenge and delayed project has been reduced to half. So this is just 15 years back assessment, but I think there would have been much better performance as of now. This improvement is mainly caused, and this is again by the standards group, that better skilled project managers with better management processes are used to improve the projects. These are some of the success factors. For example, if you really want the projects to be successful, you have to have the executive and senior management supports, involvement of the user from the day first, experienced project managers, clear business objectives, scope change should be minimized, standardized software infrastructure where possible, basic requirement to form up right from the beginning so that there is no frequent scope changes. Formal methodology of project management is also very important. Reliable estimates. This is one of the problems. The estimates are not developed right in a very rational way. Then we can also think of the planning, competent staff and team and ownership. I'll not go in detail of reading this, but just you can see that you project leaders are important for the success of projects. Now, by and large, the success of project is mainly dominated by the success of the project managers, and almost 97% of successful projects are led by the successful project manager. Now, the job functions of the project managers are quietly varied and diverse, but definitely they define the scope, identify the stakeholders, they develop the recommend of structures, they also estimate the time requirements, they also develop the initial flow charts, resource requirements, the project requirements are evaluated, evaluate risks, contingency plans are developed, identify the dependencies of the activities and tasks, track critical milestones, project phase review, they try to secure the needed resources, and manage the change control process, report project status. Some of the very important and critical skill for the projects we have already discussed, but the project management must be comfortable with change. They should understand the work systems of the organizations, and they should lead the teams by working with them. The skills which the project managers would need to learn for the project execution, rather successful execution, can be placed in two bigger groups. One is hard skills that include the knowledge about the various tools and techniques, whereas the soft skills, which are more important, are the skills to deal with the people. Some of the soft skills, which we normally say that for a successful project managers, they should have a good communication skill, organization skills, team building skills, leadership skill, problem coping skills, and technology skills. The last one, a skill has become really very important the last 1 or 2 decades with the advent of the computer and the networks. And today, a lot of technology platforms are used for the successful project execution and management. So I would suggest my students to learn at least the MS Project, and if possible, the Primavera and building information modeling, which has become a new tool for the project management, if possible for them. So this I don't read, but the same thing which we have already discussed, that you need to involve the people, you need to involve the professional teams. We discussed the PMI approach, that this is comprised of 5 processes and almost 9 or 10 knowledge areas. There are a lot of certification system provided by the PMI, but one of the most prominent and very common uh, certification system is Project Management Professionals, or PMP. If you just look at these numbers, which are quite old, but I believe that this number has jumped up to now to more than 100,000. Rather, these are now 400,000 to be very correct, which shows the number of the project managers, professionals over the last 2 or 3 decades. Ethics is also very important in the project management, and it is one of these very important knowledge area also. There are a couple of project management software we are using. Some are very low-ended, just like Project PM, Project Management, MS Project Management, or MS Project, and then there are mid-range tools which are a bit expensive, but high-end tools are highly expensive, and we are using highly virtual project management platforms. The project management body of knowledge is basically a book which encircles the uh, basic processes and knowledge areas, and this book has been developed while keeping the basic knowledge about the project management, then the application standards and regulations, the project environment, general management tools and techniques, and interpersonal communication skills. So these together have been combined into a book that is called Project Management Body of Knowledge, or PMBoK, which is the registered book and trademark of the Project Management Institute. We discussed the project management, program management office. I'll not go into this, but definitely the program manager is basically manager of the project managers, and who are coordinating with the corporate office for the success of projects. There are a few processes which we are used in the execution of projects, and each process will be discussed. There are 5 processes. As a matter of fact, the first is for any action which we start in a project, we should have initiation, and that is authorization to start that particular action or task or activity. And then we use the planning approach, that how the objectives and the approach will be established for executing that particular piece of the project. And then once we are doing execution or implementation of that task or that activity, then we are needing the human and non-human resources, and while at the same time we are trying to monitor and control so that there is no variation between the actual and the plan. And finally, when the process or when the particular task has been completed, then we formally close out the uh, process. There is an increase in this knowledge area. Previously, there were 9, but now I believe are 10. The 4 core areas and 4 facilitating, or 5 facilitating areas now, and one knowledge area which is integration management. So the core areas are the scope, time, cost, and quality, and the facilitating areas are HR, communication, risk, and procurement. But now the stakeholder management has become a new knowledge area. We will discuss that towards the end, our uh, next slide, in next presentation. And one common area which integrates these 4 plus 5 is called integration management. So at the end, we could have the project stakeholder management as a new knowledge area. This is just telling us that how integration management is being the backbone of the project management, integrates the core and the supporting or facilitating areas to make the project success. Now, coming just briefly explaining, we will later on go into the detail of all these areas, but today we will like to just highlight, for example, what we normally do in the project integration management is basically integrating all the important other areas of the project management, and we develop the project plan, we develop the execution plan, and we also develop the change control plan. So these are the three. Before starting the project, we have the project plan, and then we have to how the execution will be done, and then controlling any change in the project. Then we go to the scope management, which is the second very important and one of the first and most important core knowledge area that we need to know that what are the boundaries of the project, because everything which is outside the project is not part of the project. So right from the day first, we have to be very careful about the knowledge area, the scope of the project. So scope refers to the boundary of the project, and it is the scope management is consisting of the initiation or starting the project phase, then develop, plan the scope, define the scope, verify the scope, and if there is any change in the scope, then how can we control it? So we will discuss this later. When we come to the project time management, which mainly aims at completing the project within the given time, which is the spirit of the project also, we have activities like activities definition, that what are different kind of activities we have to be taking in the tasks, and then how they are sequenced. Then we also estimate the duration of the activities. Then we develop the project schedules, and then we develop the project control, schedule control mechanism. When we come to the cost estimation, which is again a very important management, project management area, knowledge area, is to ensure that the project is completed within the given time. We first of all plan the resources, we develop the estimate of the projects, which is the baseline cost of the project, and then we budget the cost baseline with the available resources, and then while we are executing the projects, we have to control the cost. So cost control is a very important part of the cost management. The fourth very important knowledge area, core knowledge area, is the quality. We try to ensure that the project attributes and the project deliverables are executed as per the required project scope, project quality standards, and that is the standards. They are the standard were acceptable uh, uh, to the end users. So we plan the quality, and once the quality standards have been defined, then we try to ensure that the quality is achieved, and if there is any change, we try to control and bring it back to the actual plant. Uh, so after the core areas, we are now discussing the support areas, and within support areas, the most important is the human resource management, in which we try to organize the planning, organizational planning, that how the project would be done, the nature of the project teams, their relationship with the other departments and other organs is very important. So we try to develop the project team, and then once the project uh, the project organization is planned, then we go for acquiring the staff, and then once the staff is acquired, then we go to develop the team, which is again a very challenging job for the project managers. The next area is communication management. Again, very important, because we try to disseminate, to collect, generate, collect, disseminate, and store the reliable, timely data and information to the different stakeholders. And in this, we try to plan the communication. We plan how the information shall be distributed amongst the various stakeholders, and then we also develop the progress reports or performance reports, and once the project is closed, then we administratively close the projects. Another very important part is risk management, because the projects are always based on some assumptions, and we always have to ensure that if there is any change in the assumptions, then we need to have a very proper plan. So within the risk, we develop the risk identification, risk quantification, risk response development, and risk controlling. We will discuss all these areas in a quite detail when we go to the individual areas. Uh, Another very important area is the project procurement management, in which we have normally, in this slide, we can see that first of all, we have the procurement planning, in which we make the make or buy decision, and then we invite the tenders or the proposals, we issue the RFPs, then we open the tenders or we receive the proposal and evaluate this proposal, and then we select the source, and finally we award the contract. And once the contract is awarded, then we go for the administration of the contract, and once the contract is substantially completed, we go to the contract closeout. So this is another very important area of the project management. And finally, stakeholder management, which has got some well-defined steps. For example, you try to identify the stakeholders, you document their needs. Stakeholder normally refer to the people or a group of people who can negatively or positively affect the project. So you need to identify these stakeholders. They may be supportive sometime and they may be adversely at times. So you have to identify their nature, and then you see that what are their needs and how they can influence positively or negatively the project, and then you try to manage their expectations through active engagement, and then you take the corrective actions or actions which are very important to satisfy the stakeholders, and finally you review your actions to see that whether you are getting more support from the project supporters, and you try to diminish or reduce the impact of the project adversaries. Finally, in this slide, you can see that how these various knowledge areas have been linked with the 5 processes, and within each knowledge area, you would see that there are some processes involved. For example, when we go to the project integration management, we are having the planning process in which we develop the project plan, and then we have in the execution process, we develop the execution planning, and then in the monitoring and control change is a controlling process. So you would see that in all these knowledge areas, there are all are some of these 5 processes which are involved in the different parts of the projects. So students and colleagues, this ends the first part of this lecture, which is about the knowledge areas in the brief introduction to the project management body of knowledge, or PMBoK. And later we will discuss some other attributes of these knowledge areas in quite detail. So thank you very much. And if you have any question, please free to contact, and please also advise your friends to subscribe to my channel so that we can develop it together for a better learning from each other. Thank you very much and have a nice time.